They thought she was just a helpless country girl, fragile, harmless, an easy target. Laughing, they surrounded her in the cold, empty warehouse, her tiny dog trembling at her feet. "What's that little mutt gonna do?" one of them sneered. But then, the lights flickered. The air grew heavy. The puppy lifted its head, its eyes glowing gold like molten fire. A low growl filled the room, deep, ancient, powerful. The laughter stopped. The ground cracked beneath their feet as a blinding light erupted, swallowing everything in sight. When the glow faded, the thugs fell silent, trembling in horror. The harmless dog wasn't ordinary at all. They had just awakened something divine, and it was furious. The sun dipped low over the quiet countryside, casting golden light over endless fields of wheat. In the heart of that peaceful village lived a young girl named Hannah, gentle, shy, and full of quiet dreams. She spent her days tending to her grandmother's garden and caring for a small puppy she'd found abandoned near the riverbank. The villagers laughed at her for keeping it. A fragile dog for a fragile girl, they said. But Hannah didn't care. She loved that little creature more than anything in the world. One evening, as the wind howled through the narrow lanes, Hannah walked home with her puppy trotting beside her. Suddenly, the laughter of drunk men echoed behind her. 3 local thugs, known for tormenting villagers, stepped out of the shadows. "Well, look who it is," one sneered, his grin cruel. The little farm girl with her toy dog. Hannah froze, clutching her pup to her chest. "Please, I just want to go home," she whispered. But the men surrounded her, mocking her trembling voice. "Ah, is the little princess scared?" Another taunted, kicking dirt toward her. The puppy growled softly, its tiny body tense. The thugs laughed harder. "That thing," one scoffed. "It couldn't hurt a fly." They had no idea how wrong they were. The men's laughter echoed through the dark fields as they dragged Hannah toward an abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. The moonlight barely pierced through the broken windows, revealing rusted tools and torn sacks scattered across the floor. Hannah's puppy barked frantically, snapping at their boots, but one of the men kicked it aside. "Quiet, mutt," he snarled. Tears welled in Hannah's eyes as they tied her to a wooden chair. "Why are you doing this?" she cried. The leader smirked, his voice thick with cruelty. "Because people like you think kindness means weakness. Maybe tonight, you'll learn otherwise." Outside, the night grew unnaturally still. Even the crickets went silent. The puppy limped back inside, trembling, but its eyes had changed. Faint glimmers of gold shimmered beneath the surface. Hannah, still bound, whispered through sobs, "Please, don't hurt him. He's all I have." The men turned toward her, mocking her words. "You should worry about yourself, sweetheart," one said, gripping her chin. But before he could laugh again, the lights flickered, the temperature dropped. A faint hum filled the air, like a heartbeat pulsing through the walls. The puppy's tiny growls deepened, its body trembling as if something ancient inside it had just awakened. Hannah's tears fell silently as the thugs argued over what to do next. One of them grabbed her hair, forcing her to look up. "Still think that mutt can save you?" he hissed. But as he spoke, the air began to hum louder, a strange vibration that made the walls tremble and the lights above flicker wildly. The puppy stood perfectly still now, staring straight at the men. Its small frame shook, not from fear, but from power. Its fur began to shimmer, each strand glowing faintly gold. The thug stumbled back, startled. "What the hell?" one muttered to Hannah's sobs stopped. Her wide eyes reflected the transformation before her. "Kumo?" she whispered, calling her dog's name. The puppy turned toward her, and for a brief moment, its eyes weren't those of a dog anymore. They were ancient, glowing with divine fire. The deep rumble filled the room. The ropes around Hannah's wrists snapped apart like threads, disintegrating into ash. The men froze in horror as a radiant light poured from the small creature's body, illuminating the warehouse like dawn breaking through darkness. And then, the puppy rose from the floor. Its tiny paws left the ground, surrounded by swirling golden energy, its form expanding, bones reshaping, fur blazing like fire. The air cracked with thunder. The helpless puppy was gone. In its place stood a colossal divine wolf. The warehouse erupted in chaos as the golden wolf let out a roar that shook the foundations of the building. Windows shattered, debris rained from the ceiling, and the air itself seemed to tremble in fear. The thugs stumbled backward, their bravado dissolving into sheer terror. "What is that thing?" one screamed, tripping over a chair as the massive creature turned its blazing eyes toward him. The divine wolf's growl wasn't just a sound. It was a command of nature itself, echoing through the walls like rolling thunder. With a single step, its claws left scorch marks on the concrete floor. Hannah shielded her face from the blinding light, tears streaming down as she realized her gentle little Kumo was protecting her. The leader of the thugs drew a knife, his hands shaking. "Stay back," he shouted, but his voice quivered. The wolf's gaze locked onto him, ancient, merciless, divine. It moved faster than sight. The man's knife shattered to dust before it could even touch the creature. Then came a growl that sounded almost like a whisper of judgment. The air exploded outward, sending the men flying across the room. They hit the walls, dazed, gasping, unable to move. The golden wolf stood tall in the wreckage, a silent guardian of the trembling girl it had sworn to protect. The golden light dimmed slightly, revealing the terrified faces of the men sprawled across the floor. Smoke curled through the air, the ground still crackling with energy. The wolf's glowing eyes softened for a moment as it turned toward Hannah, ensuring she was safe. Then its expression hardened again. The divine beast stepped forward, its massive paws echoing like thunderclaps. The leader tried to crawl away, his voice shaking. "It didn't mean to." He stopped as the wolf lowered its head to his level, its golden breath washing over him like fire. The man trembled uncontrollably. In its eyes, he saw everything, every cruel act, every moment of hate. He screamed as flashes of his own violence filled his mind, forcing him to face the pain he'd caused others. The other two thugs dropped to their knees, sobbing. "Please, we're sorry. We'll change." One cried out. The wolf paused, tilting its head slightly. Then, with a deep, resonating growl, it released a pulse of golden energy that swept through the room, not burning, but cleansing. The men collapsed, unconscious but unharmed, their fear replaced by something new, remorse. When the light faded, Hannah knelt beside her divine protector. The once mighty wolf bowed its head gently, its glowing eyes now calm, its vengeance complete. The warehouse lay silent now, bathed in the faint glow of dawn filtering through the broken windows. Hannah, still trembling, reached out and touched the golden wolf's paw. The moment her fingers brushed against its fur, the divine glow began to fade. Light spiraled around the creature, shrinking, softening, until once again, her tiny puppy sat before her, its tail wagging gently. "Kumo?" she whispered, tears of disbelief and gratitude filling her eyes. The little dog barked once, softly, as if to say, "You're safe now." The men awoke hours later, shaken but changed. Without a word, they left the village and never returned. No one believed Hannah's story at first. A small dog turning into a divine guardian? Impossible. But the warehouse told its own tale. Scorch marks on the ground, claw prints that glowed faintly under moonlight, and an air so still it felt sacred. As time passed, villagers began to notice something extraordinary. Wherever Hannah and Kumo went, crops grew faster, the air felt lighter, and sick animals healed. The quiet girl everyone once mocked became a symbol of grace and courage. One evening, Hannah looked up at the sunset and smiled at her pup. "You're not just my dog," she whispered. "You're my miracle."